All right, welcome to a different kind of episode of Video Clerks. I'm Cassidy.
I'm Christopher.
And today we're recording our best of and worst of 2011 lists. So we're going to be doing our best of list first. On a separate video, you can click on an annotation at the end of the video or in the links below, and you'll be able to go to our worst of list for 2011 as well. So we'll start from 5 and work our way to number 1.
Do you want to throw out some honorable mentions?
Yeah, let's do that actually. And some that I just want to throw out there. Attack the Block. Love that movie a lot. Source Code, one of the first really good movies of the year that it was actually up there for a really long time until towards the last few months. Crazy Stupid Love, another Ryan Gosling thing I really liked. And the lesser known movie, but I think everyone should check it out, Beginners. Beginners with Christopher Plummer and Ewan McGregor. Really good.
I've seen the cover. It's got the cursive or something. Nice. Some of my honorables were Hesher with J-Let. The Muppets. The
Muppets? Actually, I was really surprised it's not on the list.
Yeah.
Even on the way up here, I was thinking, oh, the Muppets totally going to be in this.
It was in my debatable one.
Yeah.
Happy Thank You More Please.
I never got to see that one, but I've heard good things.
It's pretty awesome, and it's directed by Ted from
Ted Mosby.
Ted Mosby,
yeah.
And I love How Much Your
Ted
Mother.
Mosby, film director.
Yeah, How Much Your Mother Can Do No Wrong right now. So.
Yeah.
I loved it just because. Win-Win with Paul Giamatti.
That's a really good one too. Yeah.
The Devil's Double.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
That was one I just kind of, I rented, just kind of watched, and I was just like, whoa, it's just a different movie.
Yeah.
It needs some mention out there, because it's different.
Yeah. And why don't you tell me, Chris, what is your number 5 favorite movie of 2011?
All right, number 5, The Beaver.
Wow.
You
did like that movie. I remember you were quite glowing about it.
It's just got that great ending in it. I really like it's how it goes through. Plus, Mel Gibson proving he's crazy, and it works. It works for me. I'm okay with it.
Mel Gibson is crazy.
Exactly.
And I remember when I first watched The Beaver, I was really kind of nervous about that. I thought this was going to be Mel Gibson's apology letter to the world, and it kind of seemed like it was. But then when I watch it, it is actually pretty good, and it was surprisingly good. It didn't make my top 5 or 10 even, but I basically liked it. It's a good movie.
Even if it's directed by Jodie Foster, I'm still going to put it up there because I still recommend it to lots of people.
Cool. My number 5 is 50-50.
50-50.
50-50.
It was a good one.
And again, it was a movie that I kind of came into skeptically because I thought I was kind of done with the Apatow thing and kind of done with Seth Rogen, and I didn't want to see them do a raunchy comedy about trying to get laid with cancer. I remember the ad campaign was especially really terrible for it. It was like an internet ad campaign that I saw where it was just Seth Rogen and J-Let, and they're like, go see our movie or whatever. And I was like, really? How about I don't? But I got dragged by a friend and then ended up like totally winning me over. It's not only a really good movie for that crowd and for those creative team, but just a really good movie in general. And I recommend it to people all the time at my video store. And I think it's truly one of the highlights of the year. Nice. What is your number 4?
Number 4 is Rainn Wilson in Super.
Ooh, there was a point in time when that was in my top 5.
That one was just, it was the happiest kind of violence that you can get. I enjoyed it. Dark, twisted. It was a fantastic movie, and I still look at it whenever I see it for $7.99 used and go, I need to buy that.
I bought it.
I still need to.
I bought it new even. Super's great. Yeah. That is a ballsy, weird. You would not see that made by a major studio.
Yeah.
I think it's NC-17 or unrated even. I don't even think it's R. But
probably unrated.
It's a crazy movie. It's kind of all over the place, and its tones are like all over the place. It almost kind of reminds me of Red State in that way.
Oh yeah.
But I think it works quite a bit better than that. And me and my other friend Richard were talking about it, and I think both of us agree we actually prefer it to Kick-Ass. Yeah. Even though I like both.
Yeah, they're both good. I do too.
Yeah. My number 4 is a movie you probably didn't see, Tree of Life.
Okay. What? Sean Penn, Brad Pitt's pretentious piece of crap?
Life by Terrence Malick, his latest movie on the Palme d'Or. I love him in general as a director, and I really like Tree of Life a lot. And I think it's not an easy movie to watch, and it's a love-hate experience. There's like nothing in between. You either are all about this movie or you're really, really not. And the things about this movie that I like, and I've said this before, it's not a movie that you can just like pop in on a Friday night with popcorn and just like, let's have a Tree of Life party. Like it's, you know, it's a almost 3-hour long, almost no dialogue, long extended scenes where there's like quote unquote nothing happening. But what I love about this movie is it is a film in the purest sense. Like this movie would not work, or this story would not work in any other medium but film. It's not. It couldn't be a novel. It couldn't be a graphic novel. It couldn't be or a comic book. It couldn't be a video game. It couldn't be anything but a movie. It is really truly telling a story with moving picture. And the cinematography is gorgeous, whether you love it or hate it. That is one thing I think everyone's unanimous on, is the movie looks great. And it reminded me a lot of 2001: Space Odyssey. And I think, you know, when that movie first came out back in the 60s, it had just as polarized of a view. Like, some critics said it was pretentious garbage, and it's long, and it's boring, and it doesn't mean anything. And some people who were on acid who went and saw it said it opened their mind to a new life experience, and they saw God for the first time.
There you go.
And in this movie, you actually do see God. But it's an interesting movie, and it's a movie that like is open for discussion. And I think for years and years to come, there will always be a debate about this movie. And I think that's what marks the difference between Hollywood popcorn fodder, which there's a lot of that I love, and an important film that gets talked about and like taught about in film school and that kind of stuff. It's worth challenging yourself for.
We'll just let everyone know his number 4 is a bunch of crap.
You haven't even seen it.
Number 3, I went foreign on this one.
Oh.
The Korean film, I Saw the Devil.
Oh, I still haven't seen it.
Oh, man.
So tell me about I Saw the Devil.
I Saw the Devil without ruining it.
Without ruining it. I've heard it goes there.
Yeah,
I've heard it's pretty rough.
It's the good kind of Korean revenge movie, you know? You got a guy, and he just happens to have a girlfriend that gets killed by a serial killer, so he's a cop, so he hunts down the guy and just goes on this huge vengeance trip, and it just gets more and more intense progressively.
Yeah.
It's got the guy from Old Boy in it. And that guy's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah, no, the performances are good. The guy who plays the cop just plays a really good, calm, methodical, I'm a policeman, yet I can do all the horrible things to you that I'm doing, and be totally calm about it.
I've heard it's shot really well too.
Yes.
It looks nice.
No, fantastic movie all the way through.
The Koreans know how to do revenge movies.
Yes, they do.
Old Boy is awesome too.
Yep.
Yeah. It's been on my list, and it's still on Instant Queue.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I'm like, it's almost 3 hours long.
I
just feel like once I start it, I have to commit to it.
Yeah, it's not one you watch halfway and then come back to the next day.
Yeah. My number 3 is Moneyball. This is how do I describe Moneyball?
Terrible baseball movie?
We didn't do a review for it.
I watched Mr. Baseball over Moneyball.
Mr. Baseball.
Tom Selleck rocking it in Japan.
What I liked about Moneyball when I went and saw it is I said, this is the type of movies they don't make anymore. This is a movie for adults. It's a movie, and not like pornographic, but it's a movie that's for grown-ups. There's no franchisey, comic booky, explosion-y kind of appeal to it at all. And had I been 10-something years younger, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. But beside the fact that it's just a mature movie that is very, very subtle, everything about it is done through subtlety. What I tell people at the video store when I recommend it is, I don't really like sports, and I hate math, but I love this movie. So that's the best recommendation I can give for it. It was co-written by Aaron Sorkin, who did The West Wing, and he wrote the screenplay for The Social Network last year. And his sort of gift is finding what should be dry, boring subject matter, and finding the most dramatic way to tell it. Finding the character within a story like that, or how said dry subject matter informs the characters. And I think Brad Pitt is great in it, though like I said, I do prefer his performance in Tree of Life. And Jonah Hill actually really surprised me. I remember when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, we'll see with this one. I just don't know if Jonah Hill's going to be able to do the emotional and intellectual heavy lifting to keep up with Brad Pitt. But he surprised me. I think I really prefer Jonah Hill actually when he plays it more low-key, like in this movie in Cyrus, than when he plays like the big, loud, obnoxious, like The Sitter and Superbad and those kind of movies. Though I like Superbad, but I actually want to see more of this Jonah Hill, especially now that he's skinny and has a short haircut.
I think it's a baseball. I don't know. I don't know about your top 5. My number 2 is probably one you're going to agree with me on.
Okay.
The Artist.
Yes. Yes, I do.
I was just floored by that movie. I was like, wow. This is awesome. This is good cinema.
Yeah.
I was emotionally captivated through it. It was a silent film, which means it had to grip me, or else I would have been totally against it. So I had to. It's another one. I figure love and hate. Someone either loves it or hates it, because I don't think you can get an in between on that.
You know what? I would say it's. I think it's because it's black and white. It's a silent film. And all of the stylistic choices about the movie, that people are sort of approaching it at this as, oh, this is an art house movie. I can't because this is an art house. But I really don't think it is. I mean, it is in certain aspects, but I think it totally delivers as just being a good, lighthearted comedy.
Yeah, no, I mean, seriously. I mean, if this was one of those, Charlie Chaplin Criterion collections, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd blend right into all those 20s stuff.
Yeah, I suspect that I say if you open your mind to the experience, if you don't just shut it and be like, oh, sound film, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
If you open your mind to the experience, I'd say even people who generally don't like this kind of stuff, or maybe you've never even seen a silent film, I think you're going to like The Artist. I think it's a very likable movie.
Yes.
So, and going right into that, that's my number 2 as well.
There we go.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this movie. I think it's terrific. It's really, it was a joyous experience. You walk out of the movie with your heart just full. And you get that enough in the movies anymore. Usually you're like, oh, well, it did this or it did that, or it's interesting or not interesting, or it sucked or whatever. But you never walk out with an emotional experience anymore. So what's your number 1?
This is the point where I usually pull something weird up, like Sucker Punch or Drive Angry.
Yeah.
I honestly wanted to include Sucker Punch up here, but that thing was just too disappointing. I couldn't do it. Drive. Movie's friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, a little slow, but I think I even maybe given it a B.
Yeah, I think you were a little lukewarm on it when I first reviewed it. Have you seen it subsequent times, or?
Not subsequent, but no. I've been thinking about it more and more, and I mean, I just keep telling myself I really like that movie. I can't. I think it was one of those I was more in denial of liking the movie earlier. I'm like, now.
Kind of grew on you.
Grew on me. It's just it's got the right tone. There's parts of violence that make me happy. Loved it.
Just a totally satisfying experience, and that's my number 1 too. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Drive, and I knew that it could very well stay at the top of my list all year ever since I've seen it, but I waited to make the list before I've seen some of these other movies, and I'm glad I did. But just it's such a directed film, you know what I mean? You don't see this very often, where every single choice, every single shot, every single aesthetic decision, down from the music, to the lighting, to the cinematography, to the performances, to the angles that things are shot, everything is just so fine-tuned, sharply directed. Like, there's no other choices that the movie could have made. So, whether you think it's slow or fast or whatever, it's 100% intentional, every single thing that's there. And I love that kind of craft in filmmaking, or I respect that kind of craft in filmmaking. And beyond that, it's just totally my bread and butter when it comes to genre. It's a gritty, hard-boiled, kind of film noir, 80s aesthetic, almost Michael Mann sort of feeling thing, with like this almost a European sort of tone or vibe through it. It gets better and better the more you watch it. I've seen it 3 times now. I watched it twice in theater. I saw cheap seats, and then I watched it just recently on Blu-ray. The Blu-ray is fantastic, by the way. If you have HD capabilities for your television, it shines on Blu-ray. Don't buy it in any other format if you can. Yeah, love this movie. And Ryan Gosling, really coming up.
Respect.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Gosling has been in several really good movies in the last couple of years.
Yeah. So, we love our baby gears.
We do.
All right.
All right, so yeah, that's our top 5 for 2011.
All right, well.
So there's some good recommendations if you haven't seen any of those. And click below, or on this annotation, I'll put somewhere here, for our bottom 5 worst movies of 2011.